Hello, loves. Hello, hello. It's Hills here from the Blue Flame Apothecary. I hope that coming out of that Leo full moon, everyone's feeling all right. I know I talked a lot about the multitudes and the subtle shiftings, and the not so subtle shiftings is Kali and Uranus were part of that fixed grand crossed energy. In the update prior to the Leo full moon, I talked a lot about receiving. How important opening up our receiving is for our beingness. Today I'm feeling a couple of threads that feel like they want to kind of weave together. One of them is something that came through for me the other day, which is, it is time. You must practice embodied receiving every day now. This came through as I was getting a massage that was much needed, as I have just started taking a West African dance class on Sundays. And I realized, oh, that is also embodied receiving. I'm allowing myself to be taught as I move through a very structured and flowy dance class. The other piece that's feeling really loud, and it'll be interesting to see how they get woven together, is the various types of light workers. The various types of light workers. And it is an extensive list, so I can say right now, by no means are we going to talk about every kind of light worker, especially since a lot of them have not yet been named. And like the energy of that Leo full moon, we are all large and we all contain multitudes. So no single person, for the most part, I don't like absolutes personally. It would be very rare for someone to only have one way in which they are called to work light, to allow light to move through them. So let's feel here for a minute. What does that mean? Allow light to move through you. So, right? That's part of it. That's part of it. Clearing those chakras. Clearing those chakras. For myself personally, when I get that, it's a sign to me that something that makes me a little uncomfortable, my ego me, a little uncomfortable, is getting ready to come through my throat chakra. It's coming through, and I need to expand myself. I need to make space. I need to clear my throat, right? So if we take that to the next level, at the end of the Leo full moon update, I talked about how my actual rib cage is needing to expand to make room for my expanded opening heart space. And part of this is that I had created a structural collapse, a cage around my heart to protect me because of a lot of trauma in my early life. And a lot of us as light workers have that. Yeah, and that brings in the embodied receiving piece. So not all light workers are starseeds, but pretty much all starseeds are light workers. Again, there's no absolutes here, but if you resonate as a starseed, chances are you are here on mission, and part of that mission is to help with the project of Earth, the project of New Earth. And part of that project is to connect at an innate, like a DNA level, our light to our embodied form. We are in an evolutionary cycle. I mean, humans are always evolving, whether they think they are or not. We are a constant evolution. Even we can see that through the cycles of age, even. The project at the moment, and it's really the project that has that is of Earth. That's what the Earth project is. It's bringing our light bodies, our light beingness, our multidimensional beingness into physicality. Sometimes you'll hear people say that we are the universe seeking to express itself. And that's the same difference. That's the same difference. There it goes again. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing that a lot, this particular update. There is a lot of energy moving through me right now. A lot of energy moving through me right now. And there's a lot of energy moving through all of us right now. We are really gearing up in that forward momentum. It's like chugga, 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 chugga. And the weep, weep has already gone. A lot of people are waking up. It's an activation moment. And some people are not quite sure what's going on. They're still kind of groggy and trying to figure out what all of it means. Which brings me, I'm going to take a sip of water, which brings me to one of the types of light workers. Yes. Which brings me to one of the types of light workers, and that's guides. Guides are, I would be considered a guide as a light worker. Or some guides are also teachers, and some guides are not teachers. Like I said, there's a lot of variation. We are large and we contain multitudes. So what does it mean to be a guide? A guide is someone who can receive messages from their team, from spirit, from the divine light, from their higher self, from their multidimensional self, and help say things, even if they're not consciously aware of it, that will help someone else who's a little in a different place on their journey wake up. And guides could also be those who help you along your path. This is a more teacher sort of guide. But it doesn't have to be teaching. It doesn't have to look like what we think of as teaching. It could be you run into somebody on the corner and they say something to you and it's like, poof, what? And everything about your life changes from that moment. You might not realize it in that moment, but your whole system received that message. And like I said, guides it's not like this is my profession now. I'm a guide and I stand on street corners and say, and blow people's minds. I mean, maybe, but it's more, for guides, it's more subtle. Speaking of subtle, wayshowers. Wayshowers are another example of this. This is probably the single most common type of light worker. And just about every, oh, there goes my throat again. Just about every light worker there is a wayshower. How you show people the way varies depending on your unique system. It varies on your unique system. Most of the time, it will in some way, be going through the process yourself. Going through the process yourself. I kind of do that, right? Like live on camera, right? Some wayshowers, it's simply walking through the world radiating light. And that's showing others that it's possible. That's showing others that it is possible to be that light filled. A great example of a wayshower would be a light worker who's called to a very like run down neighborhood, or to hospital work, or places that we consider like heavy, hard to maintain our light in. And they are able, wherever they are, to hold that light, to radiate that light out, and therefore show that wherever you are, it is possible to hold that much light in your being, to stay that light in your being, regardless of the heaviness around you. And some way showers, it will be through manifestation. Like, I can call this in from the void. I can make the immaterial material. And as I come into that, that's where I want to talk about this embodied receiving. When most star seeds and light workers generally come into human incarnation, especially the incarnation where they're going to be put into their service role. So most of us now. The being embodied is very difficult. It is uncomfortable. It hurts. There's pain, there's discomfort, there's trauma, there's grief. There's also love and joy and ecstasy and sensual pleasures of eating or soft clothes, all of these things, right? But when we come into our embodied form, because we are so sensitive, and because we know, we have like this innate knowing of what the lightness feels like, coming into the density of the physical form can be uncomfortable. And we also know that we're here to like clear out a lot of the gunk, and we're here to heal lines and do so many things that are uncomfortable. One of the other parts of this is connected to the heart chakra, and the truth that this is the only place where the heart chakra exists. Our embodied form on this planet, everywhere else in the multidimensional, interdimensional, transdimensional universe does not experience heart chakra in the way that we do. And it's part of the reason that we're here doing this now, is because we have created this system in order to feel all of the feels, in order to experience ourselves in a new and different way, in a physical way. So what do I mean we're the only place with a heart chakra? Because that's big, right? That's like a what? When I first felt that, it like rocked my system, because it made so much sense. Of course we have a hard time being embodied. We are experiencing emotions in ways that no other incarnate being ever does. And that means that, yes, we're experiencing love in a different way, but it also means that we are experiencing pain and grief and loss. And those are new emotions to us. I mean, obviously, from past incarnations on this planet, we will have experienced them, but we're connected to them in a different way as we're starting to wake up. And a lot of starseeds in particular and lightworkers generally have a really hard time staying in their body. This is why you see so many people who are starseeds and lightworkers in love with psychedelics. And I admit to that myself, that there is something so beautiful and expansive. Oh, I remember that feeling now, right? We're coming into a place, though, where we don't need those substances in order to have our shamanic journey. We can do it without them. And that's part of what's going on right now. So what is embodied receiving? I talked about a little pieces of it, right? The massage that I got on Monday and the West African dance class I started taking, a manicure, a pedicure, a foot massage, a shower taken with intent, eating while sitting in the sun, placing your bare feet on the ground, on the grass in particular. Part of it is about intent. Part of it is about intent. So yesterday, when I had a little bit of a break and I could go have some lunch, the sun was out and I knew I need to practice some form of embodied receiving today. What is it going to be? And I could feel, you're going to go out, you're going to go get some lunch, you're going to sit in the park, and as you eat your lunch in the sun, you're going to receive the nutrients of the sunlight, you're going to receive the nutrients of the food, and you are going to be fully present in your body while you are receiving the sun, while you're receiving this food. You're not going to be off in the conversation that the kids are having in the playground. You're not going to be up with the birds, which is something that I really like to do. You're going to be in your body and receiving all of this food. For those of us, let's feel this for a minute. I felt this like, oh yeah, we need to get into the body for this piece. We need to get into the body for this piece because we've been up in the Lightworker. So take a couple of breaths into your heart, all the way down into your root. Feel yourself, like anchor yourself into your Earth Star chakra. Feel that connection to that chakra that exists within the earth and connects up to the bottom of your feet, the soles of your feet. Just breathe there for just a couple of moments. And as we explore embodied receiving, can you find those little ways where you can allow yourself to receive from an embodied state? One of the other pieces to this puzzle is, even for those of us who are really elemental light workers, who love to be out in nature and we're running around barefoot through the woods or through the desert, and we're like connected to Gaia in a really strong way. We might be giving all the time. Like we go out into the forest and we're like, yay, let's play with the fairies. See how high my voice went? See how high my voice went when I said that? And instead of, oh, let me receive in my body from this forest some nutrients, some green Gaia aura light, some red Gaia aura light. Let me connect in with the magma and the core of the earth and be part of that. Get in my body and be in the forest, in my body. That doesn't mean you're not playing with the fairies and the gnomes, but it means you're allowing them to gift you. You're allowing them to gift you, as opposed to you running around like, oh, let me give you light, let me give you love, which is fucking brilliant also. It's brilliant. But if you're going to call more of your lightness of being into your body, you need to learn how to receive within your body. And I am a perfect example of this. I love to run around and dance with the fairies and give light out. I walk through the Mission neighborhood in San Francisco that I live in, and I walk through hospital corridors and all these places, and I'm like, yes, I'm here. I'm gifting healing light to whomever is able to accept it. And that's beautiful. That's part of my calling. That's one of the things that I'm called to do. I am one of those people who walks in the kind of darker places. Not the super dark, but some of the darker places. But if I'm not able to be in my body, if I'm not able to be in my body, how am I ever going to be able to fully shine my light? I often have a visual of a lighthouse when I feel into, think about, and explore what it means to be a light worker. And when you think of a lighthouse, when you visualize a lighthouse, it is a column anchored on the rocks, shining its light out, right? It would do no good if it wasn't attached to the rocks, because the rocks is what it is telling the boats that are there, right? So we, as light workers, as starseed light workers in particular, coming into a state of embodied receiving, even if it's for 2 minutes each day, even if it's for 2 minutes each day, stand under the shower and say, I am receiving this water. Eat your cereal in the morning or whatever you have for breakfast in the morning, your smoothie, and say, I am fully receiving. And yes, you share gratitude for the food that you're receiving, but what if instead of, I love you, thank you so much for this beautiful smoothie, you say, thank you for nourishing my body. Thank you for nourishing my body. And that's how we become embodied light workers, right? I mean, it's one of the ways. And that could be a type of light worker. What if that's a type of light worker? I am an embodied light worker. So let's, before I close this, let's close the loop here. We talked about guides and teachers. We talked about wayshowers. Let me feel if there's any other names that want to come through before we close this up. Keep hearing voidwalkers. Voidwalkers. This is a big one. A lot of light workers who are really connected to, especially like shamanic journeying, could be considered voidwalkers. If you go into the unseen often and explore the unseen, the dark matter, the 0 point field, if you go into the dream time, create from that space, And this can be in meditation or in actual sleep. Create from that space and wake up and bring it into the physical world. Those are all aspects of being a voidwalker. Those are all aspects of being a voidwalker. There's also timeline shifter. That's one of the ones that I have. Blue flame anchor. That's a service job that a lot of light workers have. Those are the ones that feel called to be spoken now. I mean, there's the elemental, the more elemental light workers. These are crystal guides, healers of like medicine traditions. And like I said, most likely you're not just one. Most likely you are many and many, many, many that I did not mention here because this was a tiny sliver of a list. I would love to hear in the comments if there is a type of a title that really resonates for you. Maybe one of the ones that I said here is like, oh, that hit something. I didn't even think about that. Maybe there's subcategories within wayshower or guide that you're like, oh, I'm a wayshower, but I do it this way. I would also love to hear what the idea of embodied receiving feels like to you and how you could explore that. What are different ways to explore? I would love to hear your ideas as well, because maybe it's something I didn't think of that would be amazing for me. Like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Yes, I'm going to try that. This is also part of the way we show, is we are here helping one another, because we're all navigating these realms in new ways. You know, some of us have, 10 years of experience, and some of us have 2 days, but we're all still learning. We're all still learning. No, there is not really any being on this planet right now, Lightworker, Starseed, or no, even a walk-in, who knows everything. Because if you did, you might not need to be here, right? I mean, we can make decisions to come back even after we have completed our karmic cycle. Saint Germain would be someone like that. Buddha remaining for a while would be another like that. It is with such love and gratitude that I shared this update with you today, and I hope that it helped you in some way on your journey, as I hope that I am always helped by you on your journey and mine, and as we're always, always, always helping one another in all the ways, through all the dimensions. With so much love, my friends. And again, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and let me know in the comments what all of this feels like to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.